Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good evening, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. I'm Princess Abiba Saripaudak. Welcome to Balitang Pambansa. Tonight's headlines. The government has come up with the necessary programs to help slow down the country's inflation rate. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. underscored that the recent accidents that led to loss of lives should not happen again and has ordered concerned agencies to take the necessary preventive steps. The administration bets continue to lead in a survey on preferred senatoriables. On top of the news, a combo of monetary policy reforms, social development programs, and subsidies, and slowing down the rise in food prices was government's surefire formula to rein in inflation substantially, with a nearly 2.5 percentage point decline since a year ago. Our Christian Bascones enumerates a number of government's programs that have helped bring down inflation, plus its relentless efforts to slash the cost of the country's staple grain millions can't live without in this report.
AKA, Sibol, Card, ISIP, Farm, Tupad, and 4-Piece. These are social assistance programs from the government that have supported those in the vulnerable sectors to increase their spending capacity. In addition to monetary policy adjustments by the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, the close monitoring of prices of basic commodities, and most importantly, the declaration of a food security emergency to address the rice price hike. These are among the big contributing factors why the inflation rate dropped in April this year. According to the latest data from the Philippine Statistics Authority, the inflation rate dropped to 1.4% in April 2025, compared to 3.8% in the same month in 2024 and 1.8% in March 2025.
Alam natin na yung pinakamataas na weight doon sa ating basket ay bigas, at ito ay talagang pababa na. Itong Abril 2025, ang ating inflation for rice ay nasa negative 10.9%. So malaking contribution ito doon sa pagbaba ng presyo ng overall na bilihin at serbisyo sa bansa.
The price per kilo of regular milled rice in April this year was at 44 pesos and 45 centavos, lower than April 2024's price of 51 pesos and 25 centavos and March 2025's price of 46 pesos and 9 centavos. For well-milled rice, the price stood at 50 pesos and 54 centavos per kilo in April, as opposed to 56 pesos and 42 centavos per kilo in April 2024, and 52 pesos and 20 centavos per kilo in March this year. As for special rice, the price was 60 pesos and 69 centavos per kilo this April, compared to 64 pesos and 68 centavos per kilo in April 2024, and 62 pesos and 50 centavos per kilo in March 2025. Meanwhile, the government's program of selling rice at 20 pesos per kilo has greatly contributed to the decrease in overall inflation.
Mas malaki ang impact pag umabot na dun sa 20 pesos na yung price. Binabantayan natin ito. Sa ngayon, sabi ko nga kanina dun sa regular milled, nasa 40 pesos level, negative 13.3% na. No? So, pag bumaba pa ito, of course, mas malaki yung contribution niya doon sa pagbaba ng overall inflation. Kasi sabi ko nga kanina, yung bigas ang isa sa may pinakamataas na weight sa ating overall inflation basket. Ito ay may weight na 8.9%.
According to the PSA report, these are the three major reasons for the slowdown in inflation. First is the tumble in price of cereals and cereal products. Second is the drop in the price of vegetable and fruits. And third is the decline in the price of fish and other seafood products. The average inflation from January to April dropped to 2%, marking the lowest recorded inflation since November 2019.
This is Christian Bascones from PTV Manila,
Balitang Pambansa.
Members of the Pag-IBIG Fund can now borrow up to 90% of their total regular saving, which is an increase from the previous 80% cap. This means that a member with 30,000 pesos in savings can now avail of a loan up to 27,000 pesos. According to the Palace, the policy adjustment is Pag-IBIG's response to the growing financial needs of its members, while those with existing loans under the old guidelines are also eligible to avail of additional loan amounts based on the enhanced loan entitlement. Pag-IBIG Fund also shortened the eligibility requirement from the previous 2-year membership rule. Members may now apply for a loan after making just 12 months of contribution. Meanwhile, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. reaffirmed the Philippines' commitment to defending its territorial rights, particularly in the West Philippine Sea, during the oath-taking of new Philippine Coast Guard or PCG officials. He praised the PCG for its role in protecting the nation's water, responding to maritime incidents, and rescuing individuals. The chief executive highlighted the PCG's significant efforts in inspections and patrols and promised to enhance their capabilities with advanced vessels, technologies, and support systems. He also assured benefits and free legal assistance for uniformed personnel. The latest string of fatal fender benders and road mishaps has prompted an alarmed president to order a revisit of the driver licensing process and thorough evaluation of public transport bus operators/owners. This as he extended his heartfelt sympathies to the bereaved families of the tragic and fatal road accidents and vowed to exact accountability and justice for them, as we hear more from our Kenneth Pasyente.
Following the recent incident at NAIA Terminal 1 that resulted in the death of 2 individuals, including a 5-year-old girl, and the multi-vehicle collision at SC Tex that claimed 10 lives, President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. is ensuring that such tragic incidents will not happen again. This, he said, is through the reforms he has ordered to the concerned government agencies. The President ordered the Transportation Department to thoroughly review the driver's licensing process and to conduct a comprehensive audit of bus operators.
We are taking the following actions. Review of driver licensing to ensure that only fit, capable, and responsible individuals, whether driving public or private vehicles, are allowed on our roads. A nationwide audit of bus operators with clear sanctions for those who fail to comply with safety and maintenance standards.
The Chief Executive also instructed the Labor Department to strictly monitor unsafe and exploitative practices in the transportation sector.
A directive to the Department of Labor to crack down on unsafe and exploitative practices in the transport sector, because driver fatigue, long hours, and pressure to meet quotas should never put lives at risk.
He also expressed his condolences to the families of the victims in the separate accidents, along with the promise that there will be accountability and justice for the lives lost.
We owe it to the victims and their families to act, not only with sympathy, but with resolve. These lives will not be lost in vain. We will make the changes that need to be made. We will demand accountability where it is due, and we will build a transport system that truly protects Filipino people.
Meanwhile, the President has ordered an investigation into the allegedly defective bollards or metal posts at NAIA Terminal 1 that were installed in 2019 during the term of former Transportation Secretary Arthur Togade.
Pinaiimbestigahan na po paano po ang naging procurement, pati yung specifications. Yun po ay sa pag-uutos po ng Pangulo at ito po itutugunan kaagad-agad ni Secretary Vince Dizon. At pati po ang pag-inspect sa mga bollards at ang mabilisang pagpapalit po dito para sa safety po ng nakakarami.
The Malacanang also emphasized the need for the mandated drug testing for public utility vehicle drivers to ensure the safety of both passengers and drivers and to avoid similar incidents in the future. However, the government is open to studying this further to consider the driver's side.
Hindi po ito basta-basta maaaring sabihin na huwag na lang gawin kung ito naman po ay makakasama sa safety. So, pag-aaralan pa rin po ito at huwag naman po agad nating husgahan na ito ay isang money-making device or strategy.
From PTV Manila, Kenneth Pasyente, Balitang Pambansa.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has declared May 12, 2025 as a special non-working holiday to allow registered voters to participate in the upcoming national and local elections. Under Proclamation number 878, the President stressed the importance of giving the public adequate time to exercise their right to vote freely and orderly. The proclamation was signed by Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin. The move is expected to help increase voter turnout and uphold the peaceful and democratic electoral process across the country. In a historic win for the Philippines, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. proudly declared the country's removal from the Financial Action Task Force's gray list. This triumph in the battle against money laundering and terrorism financing is a testament to the government's hard work and collaboration, paving the way for a brighter, more transparent future. As our Noel Talakay from PTV Manila tells us more.
That announcement, the Philippines emerged victorious in our fight against money laundering and terrorism financing.
This was part of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s speech during a ceremony in Malacanang to recognize the personnel from various government agencies for crafting policies and measures to combat money laundering and terrorism financing in the country. In 2021, the Financial Action Task Force, or FATF, has previously included the Philippines in its gray list. This list comprises countries with weak policies and laws against money laundering and terrorism financing. However, in 2024, the Philippines was removed from the gray list. This means that the country now has strong and clear policies and laws against money laundering and terrorism financing activities.
Kaya naman po, umaksyon tayo dahil hindi natin gustong dumagdag pa ito sa mga pasanin ng ating mga kababayan.
Among top government officials honored were Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin, Department of Interior and Local Government Secretary John Vic Remulla, Justice Secretary Jesus Crispino Remulla, Trade and Industry Secretary Cristina Aldegar Roque, Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, Governor Eli Remolona Jr., and many others.
This success is proof of what we as a nation, as a government, and as a people can achieve if we work together. And as such, it is only fitting that we honor our collective acts of determination, of discipline, and of decisive leadership.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. in his speech, he emphasized the importance of going beyond the mere implementation policies and protocols, urging a deeper commitment to core values and practice of integrity in daily life.
It means our OFWs can send money home at a lower cost. It also means that our businesses face fewer hurdles in securing international financing, which encourages foreign investment.
The chief executive also assured the public that his administration will continue to advocate the fight against money laundering and terrorism financing because the government under Bagong Pilipinas is built on transparency, accountability, and inclusive development. From PTV Manila, Noel Talakay, Balitang Pambansa.
There is much reason for the president to feel optimistic. At least two-thirds of his handpicked bets in dozen slate of his ruling coalition are favored to win based on the latest results of the major pollster surveys. Our Danielle Manalastas tells us more on the candidates' frenetic and feverish pace to court as many voters they can in their finishing kick at the campaign homestretch.
Based on the recent survey from Pulse Asia, senatorial bets of Alyansa para sa Bagong Pilipinas continue to dominate. In top 6, 4 of them are from Alyansa. Meanwhile, Senate Minority Leader Coco Pimentel expressed support to the Alyansa slate, encouraging to help the president succeed by electing the senators he has endorsed. Even the religious group Jesus is Lord Church Worldwide has released an initial list of the senatoriables they will support, including 4 from Alyansa. Meanwhile, several Alyansa candidates continue to woo voters. Senator Francis Tolentino visited Laguna and Manila and encouraged voters to choose candidates which prioritize the welfare of the country. Senator Bong Revilla meanwhile visited Cotabato and received their support, citing his steadfast commitment in advocating for the welfare of Cotabateños. Senator Pia Cayetano visited province of Rizal where she had meeting with local leaders. Former Senator Panfilo Lacson committed to investigate the alleged discrimination against senior citizens when it comes to payment of their pension if he's lucky to return to Senate. Former Senator Manny Pacquiao thanked the JIL for their endorsement. Representative Erwin Tulfo meanwhile thanked our kababayans in another survey result showing he is leading. Former DILG Secretary Ben-Hur Abalos meanwhile wants to resolve problem on childhood malnutrition. Senator Lito Lapid meanwhile supports President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s stand when it comes to our territory. Former Senate President Tito Soto meanwhile highlighted the importance of principles. Mayor Abby Binay meanwhile wants to push amendment to Public-Private Partnership Code. From PTV Manila, Daniel Manalastas, Balitang Pambansa.
Meanwhile, 9 of 11 senatorial candidates of Alyansa para sa Bagong Pilipinas topped in the National Pre-Election Survey of WR Numero Research. Based on the Philippine Public Opinion Monitor survey conducted from April 23 to 30, former DSWD Secretary Erwin Tulfo topped the survey with 48.7% preference. Former Senate President Vicente Tito Soto got the third place with 37%, while re-electionist Senator Pia Cayetano placed third to fifth place with 36.6%. Also, re-electionist Senator Lito Lapid ranked as sixth to seventh placer, while former Senator Ping Lacson is at the eighth place. Outgoing Makati City Mayor Abby Binay is in the ninth place, and Representative Camille Villar and re-electionist Senator Bong Revilla is at the 10th to 11th spot. On the other news, the last batch of the ballots were deployed and were distributed to various areas in Metro Manila as part of the preparations for the 2025 midterm elections. This last batch of the ballots totaled 7.5 million. It was deployed to Caloocan, Marikina, Pasig, Valenzuela, and other cities. And tomorrow, it will be delivered to Muntinlupa, Taguig, Pateros, and other areas in NCR. According to COMELEC, this only means they are on track and on time with the deployment of all election paraphernalia. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives started to prepare for the fourth State of the Nation Address, or SONA, of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. that will be held on July. According to House Secretary General Reginald Velasco, they met Senate officials, Office of the President, and other concerned government agencies in relation to the preparation in SONA. As of now, they are still creating the system and policies for the SONA. Moreover, even if there were still no final guest list, the House Secretary General confirmed that they will invite Vice President Sara Duterte for the said event. Malacanang is proud to announce that several stunning beaches in the Philippines have been included in the 2025 World's 50 Best Beaches list. Among them is Intolala Beach in El Nido, Palawan, which secured the second spot, and Bonbon Beach in Romblon, which ranked 38th. The Department of Tourism, or DOT, pledged to continue promoting environmental protection and tourism growth under the National Tourism Development Plan 2023 to 2025. More than 100 local government units, or LGUs, will face charges from Anti-Red Tape Authority, or ARTA, due to failure of implementation and explanation when it comes to non-compliance to Electronic Business One-Stop Shop, or EBOS. Also, ARTA earlier sent notice to explain for more than 400 LGUs for failure of the implementation of the EBOS. According to ARTA, EBOS is important not just for faster transactions of local governments, but also to fight against red tape in relation to the directive of President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. As the country prepares to head the midterm polls next week, the government is working hard to ensure stable and uninterrupted power supply during the elections to provide a smooth, secure, and efficient electoral process. This and more in tonight's Business Wrap from the Philippine News Agency.
In our business news, the Department of Energy assures an uninterrupted power supply nationwide during the midterm elections on May 12th. DOE Undersecretary Felix William Fuentebella said the energy sector is fully prepared to provide stable electricity and fuel from voting transmission to canvassing. He said the energy sector has mapped out priority areas and is monitoring potential power vulnerabilities, particularly in Visayas and Mindanao. They will also be on the lookout for worst-case scenarios, including natural disasters that could trigger power interruptions. The DOE leads the Energy Task Force on Elections, which works closely with the Commission on Elections and Security Forces to ensure a smooth and credible conduct of the elections. Meanwhile, the Department of Agriculture has lifted the import ban imposed on heat-treated processed pork products from South Korea. Based on the Memorandum Order 23 from Secretary Francisco Tiu Laurel Jr., Korean pork products that underwent high-level heat treatment will be allowed to be brought into the country. On April 8, the import risk analysis deemed sterilized pork products from South Korea to be safe from export after meeting the World Organization for Animal Health standards. These products were banned back in 2019 due to the spread of African swine fever. The DA expects more pork products to be available to consumers in the Philippines, which will also warm up agri-trade relations between the two countries. And that's the latest business news from the Philippine News Agency. This is Marita Moahe for Balitang Pambansa.
For our provincial news, in response to the rising cases of violence against women and children in the Philippines, information officers were urged to deepen their understanding of the anti-VAWC law and its implementation. A summit from the Philippine Information Agency, Mimaropa, tells us more.
Information officers must be well versed in Republic Act 9262 or the Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children or VAWC Act to effectively combat gender-based violence and support survivors, a gender rights advocate said. During the Bridging the Gap Women's Empowerment and Public Sector Communication Forum organized by the Philippine Information Agency, lawyer Jean Phoebe G. De Mesa, head of the Provincial Gender and Development or GAD Technical Working Group, called for a more proactive and legally informed approach among government communicators. She said that gaps in knowledge often result in missed opportunities for intervention and can even perpetuate stigma or misinformation, pointing out that communication must be grounded in the law if we want it to be a force for change. The forum gathered information officers from various national government agencies to discuss how strategic messaging can advance gender equality and safeguard women and children from violence. PIA Mimaropa head Hemin B. Guillermo stressed the unique influence of public communicators in shaping community attitudes and driving behavioral change. Guillermo called on the information officers to not only relay statistics and policy updates but to humanize stories of survivors and promote services available to them. The participants shared insights and best practices in integrating gender-responsive messaging into daily communication work. The forum concluded with a renewed commitment among participants to strengthen gender advocacy through informed, strategic communication.
The organizers of the forum, led by PIA Oriental Mindoro, emphasized that sustained education, collaboration, and policy literacy are essential in transforming government communicators into frontline allies in the fight against violence and inequality. From the Philippine Information Agency, Mimaropa, a sapit for Balitang Pambansa.
Meanwhile, the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, or BFAR, has played a key role in improving the lives of fisherfolk families through its scholarship program. Dennis Nebrejo from the Philippine Information Agency, Mimaropa, has more.
The Fisheries Scholarship Program of the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources, or BFAR, Mimaropa, is a significant help to the children of fisherfolk, providing not just financial aid for tuition fees but also for future job opportunities. This is aligned with the President's policy to prioritize projects that will benefit every Filipino. One of the beneficiaries of the BFAR Scholarship Program is Beverly Paglinawan, who shared their experience with the program before entering the Marinduque State University's College of Fisheries and Aquatic Sciences in Gasan campus and eventually finding a job. Paglinawan shared that the program provided crucial support in completing her studies, as her family was experiencing significant financial challenges prior to the introduction of the scholarship program. It was only later that Beverly learned about the scholarship program at MARSU, where she could be a full scholar for a course in fisheries and aquatic science. This marked the beginning of a better life for her. As a BFAR scholar, she received a monthly living allowance of 5,000 pesos, a semester book allowance of 2,000 pesos, on-the-job training or practicum support of 3,000 pesos, special problem support of 7,000 pesos, and graduation support of 1,500 pesos.
To qualify for the program, applicants must meet the following requirements: born in the Philippines, completed ALS, senior high school, or graduated from high school, not older than 25 years old at the time of the examination, have good moral character, come from economically disadvantaged background, and among others. From the Philippine Information Agency, Mimaropa, Dennis Nebrejo, Balitang Pambansa.
And that concludes a rundown of the latest, widest, and most comprehensive news and information from all across the nation. This is your trusted news source, always ready to inform and serve the Filipino people. Catch Balitang Pambansa again tomorrow at 7 a.m., 12 noon, 6 p.m., and 9:30 p.m. for more updates and developments. From Radyo Pilipinas, I'm Princess Abiba Saripao Dak, and this is your Balitang Pambansa.